Hey guys, I just want to give you a warning before you start this video that in the background you can hear my daughter singing. You can also hear her walking back and forth. Now my daughter has autism. She's more on the severe side. Also she has a anxiety disorder. Walking and singing helps her relieve her anxiety somewhat. So I will never ask her to stop. So if you have heard walking in my footsteps and stuff and little different things in the background of my videos in the past, that's her. But I'm saying this in this video because it's more prevalent in this video. You can hear it specifically more towards the latter end of the video. And if you don't want to watch this video, I completely understand. And I asked you to leave a book stack emoji in the end. And if you want to go ahead and do that and skip this video, I do not blame you, but I do hope you stick around because I'm going to be talking about 10 books that I will take no criticism on. So without further ado, let's get into the content. Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. For those who are new, welcome. My name is Monica. And for those who are not new, welcome back. It's great to see you here again. And today I am going to be talking about the 10 books that I will hear no criticism about. So Michae, Cheyenne, I think Nicki from Nicki and Bookland, and Sam from Sam's Reads a Little did this, and I was like, yes, because I have a few that I don't really talk about, and some that I really do talk about, that I absolutely love, and I feel like not enough people read them. But if they do read them, they tend to criticize them, and I'm just like, nope. So I wanted to give you 10 books that I absolutely love, that it doesn't matter what you say, I will always love them, and that is just it. So the first one that I want to talk about, and this one is, this one and actually the next one are part of a series, and if I could put the series in this as a whole, I would, absolutely would. The first one is Ten Queen by Devotee Perry, and this one is Emmett Stone and Nova Talbot, and this is Secret Identity. Their families are rivals from rival motorcycle clubs, and his family did some pretty bad stuff to her family, but her family did far worse to his family, including their found family, because the Clifton Forge group are truly a found family. And Nova is such a badass. I absolutely love her. I think she is one of the best main characters, and I love Emma Stone. The way he works around her is just so interesting. But anyway, this one and my equal one to it is Fallen Jester, Leo. Oh my gosh, I love Leo and Cassandra. But I wanted to highlight this one because Nova, I think, is a better heroine. I think that she puts not just Emmett in his place, but her father in his place. And I love how she carries her own and how she stands up to these really strong men. And I absolutely love it. So no criticism here. And the next one is Wrong by Jana Aston. And I've talked about this a few times. My first video on, on this channel was a book haul that I did from, I think Hello Lovely did a Jana Aston box, and they did the Cafe series. This is book 1 in the Cafe series. And this is Dr. Luke Miller and Sophie. And Sophie is a college student, and she works at a coffee shop named Grind Me, and that's how they meet. He comes in and they meet, and she thinks he's a lawyer. This is a pretty big age gap. I think he's like in his 30s or 40s, and she's like 21. Anyway, she goes to the hey guys, so editing Monica here. I was editing this video and I realized that I kept saying rom-com all the time, and then you kept hearing my dogs bark, and it was because my sister had come over. So here we go. I love Jana Aston. She is such a great human being. She is the crazy cat lady on Instagram. She did this home improvement where she has a pink stove. I mean, I absolutely love her. She is a wonderful human being. And I love her books. I love how they make me laugh. I love how they don't take themselves seriously. Her books, she writes the best secondhand embarrassment. Dr. Luke Miller ends up being Sophie's OBGYN at the student clinic. That's not a spoiler. That's the setup to this story. And she's like, oh my gosh. And anyway, that scene that we talk about that's in My Darling Venom works better in this type of book because it's like she's a virgin hero. It's the first time she's getting on birth control, and she's highly attracted to this guy, and he's highly attracted to her, and she has socks on that says sassy bitch, okay? I mean, that is just like comedic gold. I love how I don't have to think with these books. I love how they make me feel when I listen to them, because they are fun. And sometimes you just need some fun. And that's what I was trying to say when my dogs were barking. So anyway, I will take no criticism at all when it comes to Janet Aston, when it comes to Wrong, because love them to pieces. Bad about these books saved my sanity when I was going through a tough time. They made me laugh when I needed to laugh. So absolutely, these are chef kiss perfection for me, because they were what I needed when I needed it. And not only that, is I'm always going back and always re-listening to them or reading them, annotating them. This is a stand series for me, so no complaints or criticisms. So the next one that came out, and she just had a book come out. So this one came out in 2021, and she just had a book that was released last month, and it went everywhere, it went viral. But The Things We Leave Unfinished by Rebecca Yarros. This is a dual timeline, contemporary and historical. So in the past, you have Scarlett Stanton and the love of her life, Jameson. And in the present, you have Georgia Stanton and Noah Harrison. Scarlett was a romance writer, and she became very big, and she died at, I think, over 100 years old. She had this manuscript about her, and it was her how she met Jameson during World War II, during the Battle of Britain. And I can tell you that she did her research. Rebecca Yarros did her research on this. Everything was really historically well done. And the romance between both are well done. It's a very balanced story, and there's a twist that you don't see coming until the very end. You're like, oh. Yeah, but there's two romances, the past and the present, and they both get equal time, and it's done so perfectly. And she has come a long way as an author, and this one is one of my absolute favorites from her. It's just as good as The Fourth Wing. Actually, I think it's a little better than The Fourth Wing, but that's just me. I just love this. I just love this book, and there's no criticism here, no complaints. I won't hear it. Okay, now this one has everything I love in a dark romance, and it's Kill Switch by Penelope Douglas. Oh my gosh, Damon is the best anti-hero. He was just trash for the first few books, and then his book and how he just fell for Winter. Oh my gosh, I loved how he was protective. He was a touch her and I will eviscerate you type of a hero. And I just loved it. I loved it. And I loved how she gave as good as she got. And I loved the blind representation in this novel. I thought it was well done. I thought that their dynamic, Winter and Damon, was well done. I loved who the true villain was at the end. That made perfect sense. This is just, this is one of my favorite dark romances, and you will never, I've read this, I think late last year. It hasn't been that long, and I've already reread it like twice. So this one, No complaints. I will hear nothing bad about it. Damon and Winter, so good. And speaking of really great morally anti-heroes who touch you and you'll die, Loth Hair by Kresley Cole. This was my favorite in 2022. He's a millennia-old vampire, and she's a 19-year-old girl from backwoods Appalachia, West Virginia. And he is a vampire prince, and he calls her hillbilly. The banter, oh my heck, the banter is so fantastic between these two. And he thinks he's above being a fated mate to a human girl. And she gives it as good as he gets it. And oh my gosh, I just love this book so much. I love how he's going crazy in this book because he drank too much blood, so he's getting all these memories from all his victims. And he's doing that on purpose to try and find a way to save his mate. There's a bit of a plot in there, and I'm not going to give it away. That's kind of like, kind of like a love triangle, but sort of not. Anyway, just trust me, go into this blind. You will love it, but you do have to read this series in order. I think this is like book 14, but I'm serious. This one is worth every single book. And honestly, there's a lot of gems in this series. Like the Mortals After Dark series is one of my favorite series of all times. But Loth Hair, he is, even in his book, he is a true villain. He's not, there's no morally grayness about him, but he will protect his woman when he's sane. And when she doesn't piss him off. It's a whole thing. Like, it is a whole thing. And what she does to him is just like, he deserved everything she gave to him and more. So, like I said, this is perfect. Nope, I will hear nothing bad about this book. In fact, I made my sister read this book, and she's like, okay, now I get it. So, Loth Hair. Another morally gray character, and I feel like this one is not like these. It is Sebastian St. James from The Devil in Winter, and this one does have a setback. I love it. Anyway, so we meet Sebastian in book 2, which is It Happened One Autumn. We meet Evie in book 1. She's part of the Wallflowers. The Wallflowers are 4 friends. You have the 2 American girls, Lillian and Daisy. The first one, I cannot remember her name. I really liked the first one. I just can't remember her name. But yeah, so they're all trying to help each other because they're wallflowers. They're not going to make great marriages because the first girl was really poor. She just did not have a dowry, but she was beautiful. And then the second one, It Happened One Autumn. It was Lillian, and she's very much a Yankee girl, and she's very much in your face, like playing baseball. And then her sister is sort of like her. And then you have Evie, who's very much a introvert, and she has this stutter. She has red hair and freckles. And so he did something really bad, and it didn't work out for him at the end of book 1 or the end of book 2. In this one, Evie's dad is about to die. She's not allowed to go see her dad. Her relatives won't let her go see her dad. Her relatives are going to force her into a marriage with her cousin so they can get a hold of her inheritance. She has a vast fortune coming to her because of her father's gambling hell called Jenner's. Anyway, so Evie decides that she's had enough of the abuse because they abused her. Her relatives abused her. They starved her. They were physical with her. So she runs away one night, and she goes to Sebastian's house, and he's a rogue. He's a viscount, and he's going to become a duke when his dad dies. Well, his dukedom is starting to become impoverished. She goes and makes him a deal. I will marry you, and you can have my fortune, just keep me safe from my family. And so it's sort of a marriage of convenience because she needs to stay safe from her family. Her family, she feels like after she would have married her cousin, they would have probably killed her because that's how bad these people are. So with this, she's like, marry me, keep me safe, and we'll split my fortune, basically. And so they make this deal. And then they make another deal because he's very much a womanizer and very much a rogue. But he does little things like gets her a warming stone for her feet because they're going up to Gretna Green from London. And that's a long ways by horse-drawn buggy. I mean, it's a historical romance. So they get up there, they get married, they consummate the marriage because you have to consummate the marriage in order for it to be legal. She's like, I am never going to sleep with you again. And he's like, you will sleep with me again. And he says that he will never bed another woman. And he doesn't. He keeps his word. And she just like, nope, nope, until finally he takes care of her. He takes care of her dad. He takes care of their finances, and he has the touch you and I will kill you. He's very morally gray because of what he did in book 2. I can give you, here's a spoiler, so if you don't want to read book 2, he kidnaps her friend Lillian to force her into a marriage so he can get her fortune, which didn't work out because Marcus caught him and kicked his butt. So, yeah, not the greatest guy, but he is very smooth, very debonair, very will break the law when he wants to get what he wants. And he will basically end you if you hurt his wife. He falls hard for Evie in this, and it's such a beautiful story. And I highly recommend this, even for non-historical romance readers. This one is a really good one. Now, speaking of the other historical romance, I would be remiss because we're all watching Queen Charlotte and stuff. Well, I haven't watched it, and I don't think I am. I'm just not really interested. I heard it was just very boring in the beginning, and I'm not really interested. I mean, let me know if I should, because I watched season 1 and 2. I liked season 1 and 2. Well, I liked season 1, and I liked the first part of season 2. Let's not pretend that they didn't screw up season 2, because I will hear no criticism about the Viscount Who Loved Me. This one is one of my absolute favorites in the Bridgerton series. This is not my favorite Bridgerton series, but a lot of people like the one that I love the best. But this one, some people just don't really like Anthony, and I get it. He's a jerk, but the banter between him and Kate really gets him. I mean, when they play Pall Mall was just so fantastic. She does not take his crap. She does not believe in that he loves her sister when he's courting her sister. And then that bee scene, the scene under the desk, they messed it up. Shonda Rhimes messed that up so bad. She had such great source material. I'm still really annoyed a year later. But the character growth in him in this book, the way Anthony grows as a character, the way Kate grows as a character is so good. I just love this book. I love their dynamic. I love the secondary characters. I mean, this book is just so good. It's not my favorite. It's my second favorite. If you must know, my favorite in the Bridgerton series is When He Was Wicked, which is Francesca and Michael, because that one is just so good. And that's actually the steamier one too, funny enough. But this one, I just love Kate and Anthony more as characters than I do Michael and Francesca. I like Michael and Francesca's plot line better, but this one, it's like rivals to lovers, and the sparks are flying, and they are not letting each other off the hook, and I just love every second of it, and it was so good. In fact, I feel like I want to do a reread of this again, so I will hear no smack about this book. This book is not, no. This is one of my absolute favorites. And I still think they screwed up season 2. Okay. So a next one, and I'm going to go to a smaller town romance series. And this one, everybody loves this series, but they all love, like, I think it was book 3, but book 3 is not my favorite. Which is kind of funny because I love that character. And if you know what I'm talking about, Beard in Mind by Penny Reed. This is book 4. Book 3 is Cletus and Jen. Everybody loves Cletus and Jen because Cletus is a devious mastermind, and he is. He's such a fun character to read. But the reason why I love Beard in Mind is because of the OCD representation. I love it's grumpy sunshine. She's grumpy. He's sunshine. He's trying to find true love because he sees his brother starting to find their soulmates, and he's like, I'm not gonna settle. And so he's courting this one girl, and he feels like they're gonna she's trying to use him for sex, even though he's been abstinent for a very long time. That is not a spoiler. But anyway, at the Winston Brothers garage, in walks Shelley Sullivan, and she is brash. She will tell you like it is. She does not like to be touched. She has the best zingers and one-liners, and she will put you in your place verbally. She's so good. I absolutely love her. She also has severe OCD. She's a artist. She does a lot of metal work for artists, and she's a mechanic, and she's one of the better mechanics at their shop. I just love the way these two, he's so patient with her. She's attracted to him. So she tells him, she goes up to him, she goes, I want to have sex with you. And he's like, no. She has no social skills. She does not know how to talk to people. Well, Beau's a smooth talking guy. He has a lot of charisma. So anyway, Shelley really bothers him because he's attracted to her. Then she tells him that she has OCD, and she asks him if he would be willing to help her with therapy. So there's a therapy that she goes through in this where it's touch therapy because she hates being touched. There's a lot of talk about therapy and the benefits of therapy and everything else in this book, and it's so good. I love this book. I love the way Penny Reed wrote Beau and Shelley. But here's the thing, and this is one of the things that made me just take notice of this book. It was actually not just the story itself. It was her author's note that she wrote in the back. And it is this, she wrote it, and I loved what she said. This is a note about Shelley and neurocognitively diverse characters. And this is what she wrote, quote, one of my beta readers asked me if I thought Shelley might have too much baggage to be a heroine in a romance novel. My answer was a resounding hell no. All people who sincerely want love, to love and be loved, deserve to be a main character in a romance. I firmly believe we are all puzzle pieces, and no matter our shape, color, size, or level of neurocognitive diversity, there is another puzzle piece out there in the world waiting to click with our own. As Dr. West, who is Shelley's psychiatrist in this book, says to Beau, one person's experience with OCD can be night and day different from another person's. I know this to be true. Therefore, it is very important that you, dear reader, do not walk away from this book with a misconception that through Shelley, I've endeavored to write an accurate portrayal of all people with OCD. I have not. One character person can never be and should never be fully representative of an entire group of people, unless it's the Borg, Star Trek. And even then, in later episodes, we see some surprising diversity. I am not the Lorax of OCD. I do not speak for the anxious. Rather, what I have endeavored to do and what I struggle to do with all of my characters is to write a person who is believable as herself, like all real people. She is not one thing. She, who is Shelley, is an artist, mechanic, strong and weak, brave and cowardly, rational and irrational. But above all, she is Shelley Sullivan. She is herself, and she is worthy of love, both giving it and receiving it. And this is what she wrote about Bo. I loved writing Bo. I loved writing a character who was considered simple and straightforward, and through his interactions with a multifaceted issue, his own complexity is discovered. We all do this, or have an opportunity to do it. Over the course of our lives, we have our ideas of right and wrong, but then are faced with a situation where right and wrong don't apply. We can either choose to continue in ignorance, sticking to the yellow brick road of simplicity, or educate ourselves and unlock a spectrum of possibility. So here's to people like Bo and being receptive to the spectrum of possibility. And that author's note is exactly how this book is. And it's their journey from a really, really disastrous meet cute all the way to them falling in love. And I will hear no criticisms about Bo, Shelley, and their book, Beard in Mind. I will hear criticisms about Cletus, though. I love Cletus, but I just love this book so much better. Another book that I will never hear criticism on is Pucked Off by Helena Hunting. This is, I want to say, book 6 in the Pucked series. It's not her best. This is like slapstick rom-com, except Pucked Off isn't completely rom-com. You have Lance Romance Romero, who likes the Puck Bunnies. And you see him sprinkled throughout the first few books in the series, where everybody's like, oh yeah, Lance, he's gonna go off with another girl. Well, here's the thing. He's such a complex character. He was abused by his mother when he was a kid. He grew up in Scotland and he plays hockey, which is great. Anyway, he was also gaslit by someone who was using him, someone who really did a really bad number on him, a very trash of a person. He re-meets Poppy because he meets her originally when they were kids. She was, she snuck into a high school party and they played 7 Minutes in Heaven, but they didn't actually kiss in 7 Minutes in Heaven. Anyway, he goes to her for an injury because he needed to have a massage. He does not like being touched by women because of what his mom did to him. However, he was able to be touched by Poppy. She made him feel comfortable enough. So he still needed these massages so he could continue playing hockey. And so he keeps going back to her. And then he doesn't remember who she is, but she remembers who he is or was to her when they were younger. Anyway, and it's their romance, and it is a journey, just like Beard in Mind is a journey, helping and supporting and loving each other. And I love the way they come together, and I love the way they end up together and everything in between. And if you look, it's not as a chunky girl as a Beard in Mind, but yep. And here's Poppy in the back. And yes, the ladies love romance. And the last book that I will take no criticism on, and if you notice that I was grouping these in a specific way, it would come no surprise. That's a hockey romance, and it is The Mistake. And this is book 2 in the Off-Campus series, and everybody loves The Deal. Yes, The Deal is a great book. I love that book. That's 5 stars. I love John Logan. Like, John Logan is a superstar who has to work at being a superstar. I don't think he loves himself very much, and that's what comes across. And so he has this crush on Hannah from book 1. And she's like, dude, get over it. And he's like, Yeah, okay. But anyway, he ends up knocking on Grace's door, and they end up, she loves Die Hard, and yeah, I love Die Hard too. Anyway, they end up watching a movie together, and they start making out, and then he takes her to an action movie, and they start dating and stuff. And she is a freshman, and he is going to be a senior. He really breaks her heart, okay? And then they leave for the summer. And this is before they consummate anything. So she comes back different because she goes to Paris to live with her mom. And she broke it off with him before she left. And he really has to grovel. I love their romance. I love her relationship with her father. I loved his relationship with the teammates, because that's really kind of a found family type deal, is with Graham, Logan, Tucker, and Dean. And then you have Hannah and Allie, who are also in the picture at this point. And I just love all the group together. But I love how she makes him work for her forgiveness. She does not say, yeah, okay, I forgive you. She makes him work for, she gives him a list of stuff he has to do, because he figured out he really did fall for her, even after the mistake he made. And so he wants another chance. And she's like, no. And then she makes him work for it. Gives him a list of stuff he has to do, so she will give him another chance. And I love it. And I know people didn't like The Legacy, but I loved their short story in The Legacy. Like, getting stuck in the snowstorm was just so great. And getting stuck in a snowstorm in real life is not great, okay? But the way they went about it, their story was just so good in The Legacy. And I loved how he grew. He grew so much from being this very sorrowful person at the beginning to being basically taking charge of his own life and getting his woman back. And I love this book. This book is so good. And I will hear no criticism. Okay? I will hear criticism about the last one, which I think is the goal, which is Tucker and Sabrina. But this one is my favorite because of the character growth that not only John Logan goes through, but also Grace goes through. And I loved the romance. So no criticism, please. Okay, so those are 10 of numerous books that I absolutely love and I will not hear any criticism about. I mean, I could absolutely put Heartless on there. I could put other books on there, but I'm not going to. I'm going to leave it at this 10. Let me know down below what book that you will hear no criticism about, or if you've read these, let me know what you think. And if you made it this far in this video, please leave me a book stack emoji, since I have a huge book stack right here, which are all right here. Anyway, until next time, my friends, happy reading. Bye.